Hey, if you were worth $3, $4, $5, or $6 billion, would you be on the constant outlook for a way to turn it into more? And would you let your hunger for that more trump your more? Oh man, that fucking word has just been ruined, hasn't it? Would you let it stand in the way of any moral or ethical concerns, any consideration of the impact of your quest for profit on the most vulnerable members of society? Well, to answer these questions with an enthusiastic yes, please, you just might be Tom Gores. Tom Gores, what an appropriate last name, because Tom gores the poor, he gores people of color, he gores those caught up in America's criminal justice nightmare. Now, of course, Tom, contemptible, exploitative greedhead, would work beautifully, but it's just a little too unwieldy. So Tom Gores is about as perfect as we can get for this multi-billionaire owner of the Detroit Pistons. A quick diversion. What country on earth has the highest total of its population locked up in jails or prisons? Why, it's this United States of America. Yeah, but the statistically savvy among you will note that the United States is, after all, the third most populous country on earth, so it would kind of stand to reason that we would have a large prison population. So tell you what, let's ask a more fair question. What country on earth has the largest percentage of its people locked up in jails or prisons? Well, my friends, the answer remains the same. The United States leads the pack in this most shameful of competitions, besting noted bastions of freedom like El Salvador and Turkmenistan, warehousing human beings at a rate 30% higher than famously unfree Cuba, and at nearly double the rate of Russia, Iran, triple the rate of the barbaric Saudi regime. We have 5% of the world's population, but nearly 25% of the prisoners. That's us. And this has made some people very, very wealthy, or more accurately, made some obscenely wealthy people even more wealthy. So back to our friend Tom Gores. Well, how does he gore the poor? By exploiting for personal profit some of the most vulnerable people in the United States. 2 million plus incarcerated mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, and their families. Their children. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tom bought Securus Technologies in 2017. Securus is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that provides insanely expensive telephone access to incarcerated people. A 15-minute call from jail in Flint, Michigan? Securus was charging inmates and their families an average of $18 a call for what was essentially free on the outside. I mean, imagine the 12-year-old boy, stigmatized and heartbroken that his daddy is gone from his daily life. And then imagine the mother that has to say no when the boy asks if they can call his daddy and hear him say the words, "Happy birthday." "I'm sorry, son, we can't afford for you to hear your dad's voice today. Maybe next year." You know, in some areas, Securus has even contractually mandated the elimination of in-person calls, meaning that those inmates will never hear from the outside world unless Tom gets to add to his coffers. Man, Tom Gores. Tom really gores. Oh, want to send some money to an incarcerated loved one? Maybe she needs writing material or tampons, a little extra food. Well, you'd better be content with Tom Gores pocketing 20 to 40% of what you send, because he also owns JPay, which in many places has a monopoly on prison money transfers. How about a person in jail or in prison wants to read, improve his mind, prepare for a future after jail? Well, Tom gets a cut off that noble impulse too with his Secure View tablets, which prisoners can just rent for far more than they'd have to pay to own one on the outside, and then have to pay to buy overpriced books to read. Yeah, Tom gores, and then he just gores some more. Look, I probably don't need to tell you this, but the brunt of Tom's insatiable lust for personal profit falls disproportionately on the backs of the poor and black and brown people. 10% of Michigan's children have a parent in jail or prison, and each one of them is just a tool to help Tom's portfolio rise to $7, $8, or $9 billion. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Tom Gores and the Pistons released a statement to express their concern over the socio-economic and racial strife gripping these United States. You know, most of the statement was really just an advertisement for himself, highlighting what an awesome, caring guy Tom is. But in between these spasms of self-promotion, Tom repeatedly returns to the basic messages. We will do our part to contribute to the healing, not only through words, but actions. Nice words, Tom, really nice, but what are your actions? What about them? Look, here's the question that keeps coming to mind. What kind of person sitting atop a fortune literally thousands of times greater than nearly anyone you'll ever meet says, wow, mostly poor, typically black and brown people in a desperate situation, in a thoroughly racist judicial system? You know what I call that? A great business opportunity. Well, that's what Tom Gores basically said 3 years ago by purchasing Securus, and what he says now. Tom Gores, your greed is doing real damage to literally millions of your fellow citizens, and it's hanging like a block of fetid cheese around the neck of the Detroit Pistons franchise. Stop, Tom. Just stop. Stop with the gore. Stop profiting off of families who are locked up, and people who are locked up in their families. Stop goring vulnerable families. Just stop, Tom Gores. Stop.